Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel Phantom Era, where we talk about everything from the weird and wacky to the educational and downright preposterous. I have put together another iceberg for you today called Greed, Crime, and the NFL. The way this one is structured is similar to the last one, where the higher the tier number, the more severe the crime. Of course, this is objective, as some people morally view certain crimes as worse than others. Today, we're going to start tier 1 off as conspiracy. Now, conspiracy is a legal term that I will define for you. According to the internet, in criminal law, a conspiracy is an agreement between two or more persons to commit a crime at some time in the future. This can mean that while you yourself did not actively participate in the crime, you participated in the planning, and that a criminal action was intended to take place but may or may not have taken place yet. To start tier 1 for conspiracy, we are going to have Richard Alston. Richard Alston was a very unsuccessful football player who failed to be drafted in the 2003 draft. As a result, he was picked up by the Cleveland Browns, only to not make their regular team roster. From there, he was handed off to another football league entirely. Overall, Alston was a very lackluster performer, including his criminal record, as he was charged with conspiracy to sell drugs. Ironically, this landed him a 14-year prison sentence, which lasted longer than his football career. Josh Bellamy made it onto the Kansas City Chiefs team as an undrafted free agent in 2012. Playing as a wide receiver, Josh was pretty lackluster as well. He accomplished very little in his time with the Chiefs, and he was best known for being on the practice squad, where he was later drafted to other teams like the Chargers. In 2020, Bellamy was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and landed himself a pretty hefty sentence and fine. In all, Bellamy served 3 years, 1 month, in prison and had to pay $1,246,565, both in restitution and forfeiture, meaning he paid that sum twice. Ray Kareth was drafted in 1997 to the Carolina Panthers to be a wide receiver, where he spent 3 seasons with the team. While relatively successful in his career, having received the PFWA All-Rookie Team Award, Kareth would go on to commit several heinous crimes, the most notable one occurring in 2001, where Kareth conspired to murder his girlfriend Cherika Adams, who was 8 months pregnant with their child. Having been shot 4 times by a .357 caliber Charter Arms revolver, it was revealed that Kareth had boxed Cherika Adams' car in with his own, while Van Brett Watkins Sr., a nightclub manager and associate of Kareth, fired 4 times into the car. While Cherika Adams survived long enough to call 911, she died of her injuries. After being born prematurely due to an emergency C-section, Adams' son suffered brain damage and cerebral palsy from surviving 70 minutes without oxygen in his mother's womb. While not convicted of first-degree murder, as he didn't pull the trigger, Kareth still received an 18-year prison sentence. Russell Erzleben was drafted to the New Orleans Saints in 1979, being the 11th pick overall. This was only the second time in draft history that a kicker had been picked up by a team so early in the draft. Despite this, Erzleben had an incredibly disappointing rookie season, which led to his eventual replacement. After retiring, Erzleben founded Austin Forex International, which later fell under investigation. Here, Erzleben confessed and pled guilty to conspiracy to commit security fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering. After this, Erzleben was arrested in 2013 due to an alleged Ponzi scheme. For his first conviction, Erzleben received a 7-year sentence, and for his second conviction, he received a 7.5-year sentence. Irving Fryar was in the NFL for 17 years, which is an incredibly long career, especially for receivers. Because of this, Fryar was quite successful and landed himself on teams such as the New England Patriots. Due to his career, Fryar received a plethora of accolades, such as the Bart Starr Award. However, behind closed doors, Fryar wasn't that much of an upstanding citizen, as he had injured his hand by hitting his pregnant wife. Fryar also faced weapons charges due to a loaded handgun, shotgun, and large hunting knife being found in his car. However, the biggest incident was when Fryar faced charges for conspiracy and theft via a mortgage scheme. This latest illegal stunt landed Fryar a 5-year prison sentence. Sam Hurd III played as a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys and later the Chicago Bears, playing a collective 77 games. Eventually hosting a radio show called 1 Hour in the Huddle, Hurd's claim to fame was stained upon arrest in Dallas for conspiracy to purchase and distribute large amounts of cocaine and marijuana. Due to the crime, Hurd was given a 15-year prison sentence. Derek LaVille had a 9-year career in the NFL as a running back for teams like the Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos. Over his 9-year stint in the NFL, he won 3 Super Bowl championships. But behind the scenes, Lovell was participating in an international drug trade, international sports gambling ring, and even laundering money. In order to get debtors to pay the money they owed, Lovell and those he worked with would intimidate them by sending them videos of beheadings. Overall, Lovell was charged with drug trafficking and racketeering, but only pled guilty to the racketeering charges. This landed him a 15-month prison sentence and a $5,000 fine. Michael Vick participated in the NFL for a whopping 13 seasons, playing as quarterback for teams like the Atlanta Falcons and Pittsburgh Steelers. Despite his long career with countless accolades, Vick never won a Super Bowl. Involved in a dogfighting ring, Vick was charged with conspiracy related to dogfighting. This led to his release from the Falcons. Serving 23 months in prison, Vick was signed to the Philadelphia Eagles upon release, where his career continued uninterrupted. That was Tier 1. We will be moving on to Tier 2, which is substance abuse. Michael Floyd was drafted to the Arizona Cardinals in 2012 as a wide receiver. Floyd went on to have an extensive football career, even winning Super Bowl 51. However, this only occurred after Floyd was released from the Cardinals in 2016 for a severe DUI, where Floyd was found unconscious in his car in the middle of the road at 2:48 a.m. It was discovered that his blood alcohol content was a surprising .217. Due to this, Floyd faced 24 days in jail, 96 days of house arrest, 30 hours of community service, and a $5,115.99 fine. Kevin Mack began his career in the NFL as a fullback for the Cleveland Browns, winning awards such as the PFWA All-Rookie Team. Scoring 46 touchdowns in his career, Mack would go on to score a 6-month prison sentence due to the possession, use, and distribution of cocaine. Overall, Mack was charged with cocaine trafficking, using a motor vehicle for drug abuse, and possessing criminal tools. Having pled guilty to a lesser sentence, Mack only served 1 month of his 6-month sentence. Joe Cohen had an extensive career in the NFL acting as a coach, primarily a defensive line coach. In fact, he still coaches for the Kansas City Chiefs. How he's kept his career intact remains questionable, as he made several strange choices, one being that he passed out in a subway due to being overly intoxicated. He was also charged at one point in 2006 for driving while under the influence. However, the most egregious incident occurred when Cohen drove through a Wendy's drive-thru also in 2006, stark naked. This incident led to a $20,000 fine, 10 days of community service, and Alcoholics Anonymous meetings being ordered by a judge. Jim Irsay is the Indianapolis Colts owner who was given a measly 6-game suspension by the NFL after pleading guilty to driving while intoxicated in 2014. According to a toxicology report, Irsay had both oxycodone and hydrocodone in his system. Aside from the 6-game suspension, Irsay was later fined $500,000 for the incident. That was the NFL's punishment. As for the judge's ruling, Irsay was given a 60-day jail sentence. Surprisingly short Tier 2, we move on to a slightly longer Tier 3, which encounters things like money laundering, fraud, wire fraud, and counterfeiting. They're all very similar, but there are also many distinguishing differences. Will Allen was a professional football player for the New York Giants after being drafted in the first round of 2001. Playing as a cornerback for the Giants, Allen later moved on to other teams like that of the Miami Dolphins. Despite being relatively successful in his career, Allen was arrested in 2015 for running a $35 million Ponzi scheme that consisted of providing loans to professional athletes. In 2017, Allen was given a 5-year prison sentence and ordered to pay up to $16.8 million in restitution. After spending some time in the AFL, Cannon made his final career move by joining the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL in 1970. He retired after receiving a career-ending injury. Despite having an orthodontics degree and having his own dental practice, Cannon participated in a $6 million counterfeiting scheme to pay off gambling debts. Charged along with others, Cannon served 2.5 years of a 5-year sentence. Jimmy Hitchcock was drafted in the 3rd round of the 1995 NFL Draft as a cornerback for the New England Patriots. Particularly successful in his position, Jimmy led the league in interception yards throughout 1998. Jimmy was renowned for his gameplay, but his image would be tainted when charged with fraud, bribery, and money laundering. The charges led to a 46-month sentence, accompanied by 2 years of supervision upon release. Mark Ingram Sr. was drafted 28th overall in the 1987 draft to the New York Giants as a wide receiver. Known for some impressive plays in a Super Bowl 25, Ingram retired in 1996 before his legal troubles began. In 2008, Ingram was sentenced up to 7 years in prison with up to 5 years of probation due to money laundering and fraud. On top of this, a Long Island federal court ordered Ingram to pay a $252,000 fine and restitution money. Upon failing to show up in court in Kentucky, a warrant went out for Ingram's arrest, where he was found in a hotel getting ready to watch his son play on the Sugar Bowl. While he may have been a criminal, at least he was a supportive father. Art Schlichter played 4 seasons in the NFL for the Colts as a quarterback. Appearing in 13 games total with only 6 starts, it was clear even then that Schlichter was suffering from a gambling addiction. His restricted performance and lack of appearance in the NFL were tied to his gambling debts. Schlichter was so addicted to gambling, it's reported that he would often steal and con money from friends or strangers when he could no longer support his lifestyle. Due to his actions, Schlichter racked up over 20 felonies related to his gambling. In 1997, he was charged for forgery and theft, being sentenced up to 16 years. In 2012, Schlichter was charged again for fraud, leading to an additional 10 years with 7 months of probation that was still left over from his previous sentence. Ziggy Wolf, owner of the Minnesota Vikings, was found guilty of fraud and racketeering. A judge deemed his and his family's business practices as organized crime-type activities. Unfortunately, the crimes listed under Wolf's name happened more than 20 years ago, meaning the statute of limitations will prevent legal action. However, it's important to note that this is only one of many NFL owners who promote crime and bad business practices. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. That's tier 1, 2, and 3. Compared to last video, these are relatively small, but I can assure you in the coming parts, the list grows longer and the crimes get worse. If you want to stick around for that type of content, please subscribe, hit that bell icon. That way you get notified when the next video drops. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, take care of each other, stay safe out there, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.